Plan with me, April 2024. What you're looking at right now is my index card planner system and the little to-go bag that I use to bring it with me in my backpack and store it along in my kitchen or wherever it is that I am for the day, and I can kind of go through it. This blue box is everything outside of my 12-week year that I store, including items for storage, usually recipes, boat items, and like a Rolodex of people that I want to keep in contact with. Just to give you a quick overview, here is everything leading up to March. Then all these date dividers, 1 through 28, those are all representing April. So you have your April, and those cards right there, that little bundle of cards, they are the bulk of our planning for the day. Then I show you my 12-week year, some blanks. I've got all these recipe cards that I made sure to prioritize in the card deck because it was more of a fitness, losing weight, kind of a 12-week year, and I wanted to prioritize that. I'll talk a little bit about the 12-week year at the very end of this video. To give you an idea of what I do with the card deck, here is, again, it's March 29th, and I'm going to walk you through just the morning routine that I would usually do, looking at my affirmation cards, one specifically for the 12-week year, daily cards. I did not do my morning pages for that day. And with the card deck, you have a 3-skip rule. On the 3rd skip, you got to do it. So now those cards are taken care of and they get shuffled to the next day's date, which is represented by that 30. All the cards on top of the 30 are items that I'll deal with on Saturday, which is today. Plan with me, April. So this is the card that's from the 12 weeks to a better YouTuber card deck. And that's just focusing me in on the recording that I have. I've already planned out an outline of what it is that I want to go over in my plan with me. I'm then going through the home management piece, which is inspired by Sidetracked Home Executives. The home management cards I've used for years, and they're super effective. If you haven't read the book yet, I highly recommend it. It's a blast from the past and has a lot of fun, cute anecdotes in there. Again, when the cards are done, they're shuffled to the next day. So this acts as my to-do list. So rather than seeing a list of items, you're focusing on one thing at a time. Now, this card, my Plant the Garden card, represents, this one of the things that I need to take care of in the month of April is updating some to be more specific for my liveaboard life now, because I just carried over my home life and have like different triggers and meanings for how I maintain our boat. Anyway, the plant garden piece, I'm not going to be sprouting this week, and so I'm just checking to see the next available date that I'd like to sprout. So rather than shuffling it every day, I'm just acknowledging this is the day that I'm most likely going to be able to do it, so I move the card over to the 15th. So that's in front of the 15 divider. And these are my fun cards. These are what I've been using for the month of March for my 12-week year. I've been walking 20,000 steps a day. This week has been pitiful as far as my follow through on that. And I'll have to make a video that's a standalone to follow up on everything I've done since, I think it was the end of January that I began this, beginning of February, end of January, I think. And it's been eye-opening. So now I'm just adjusting the camera to try and show you a better view. Fridays, I like to do facials. It's a day that is indulgent. You know, it's like Pizza Friday, movie, end of the work week kind of a thing. And it's kind of nice to just top it off with a facial. Facial in terms of an at-home mask. Reviewing my 29 divider, all of the lines on there represent memories with the date and the month. So you see, for example, October 23, that represents October 29th of 2023. And on that date, we cruised to Jones Island for the day and got fuel. Just fun little memories that I can keep track of. So now you can see that I built my day, my plan for the day on the 30th. I built that on the 29th by going through the actions. I built it through the week prior to on a Saturday by shuffling the cards over onto the 30th. It's all, I don't have to sit down and make a to-do list and think, what is it that I should get done today? Now, this is an example of wash your car. I'm not washing the car today, but my husband is. And so some of these cards you delegate. Week 11 represents the end of my 12-week year for the 11th week. I've changed up throughout the weeks how I handle those dividers as far as my scorecard and tracking it, how it is that I'm doing. Here's the meal plan for the week. I have it over on the 31st because that's when my week starts, is on Sundays. I have Easter blank because it was up in the air on Wednesday what it was that we were going to actually do. Whenever I have cuts in the video, it represents a medical card or some type of appointment card where all of our personal information's on it. And so just know that those cards are available too, and those represent either calling dentists, doctors, or going to actual appointments. This is YouTube. Represents March with the 3. So that's just something I edited within Canva for the YouTuber 12 weeks to a YouTuber card because I'm doing them monthly versus weekly now. That's the list of cards that I wanted to get through by the end of the week. And then I just cross them off and give myself a score to assess how it was that I did. Spoiler alert, in March it wasn't great. And then April, this is the bulk of what it is that we're working on today, right? I've already gone through and added important dates onto that side sheet over at the beginning of the year. And now I just made sure that I added any of the items below the line are ones that I added in just on Wednesday when I looked over important dates. And there's a card for looking over important dates. I have items highlighted on my card too that notate when the 12-week year is and important dates for me to remember, to just a visual cue to know, hey, don't put cards here or be careful of what you schedule. I did add an International Dance Day. That's a fun one that I didn't include because when I'm going through the dates, I'm usually thinking about my boys, but that one's for me. So here's all the cards that are coming up in April. Taking out these cards, which I have either set in front of the month of April at the beginning of 2024, or I have shuffled them from the month prior, and they just sit in front of April until I put or shuffle those cards in. These are my fun cards. I have a fun card deck that was just items that I wanted to be inspired to do my artist date with. And last year we did a Donna's Just Want to Have Fun month because we were having some engine issues and it was a whole thing. So anyway, these are my fun cards that I put in for April. The Disney bound one I'm really excited about. It's so nerdy, but I did some Disney bounding research last year when my son was the French prince in a play, and it was kind of Beast inspired, and they were supposed to cosplay as the Beast. And I thought, what a fun thing to do where you're not overtly the Disney character, but you have it inspired in your outfit. I thought that would be a really fun activity to do with the kids. The vacation card, none of it is what I ended up planning, but those are all notes that I took. And so I need to make sure I review what is going on in our vacation this week. And then I have monthly cards. I have those seasonal or yearly cards with the car registration to make sure that I schedule. And then I had some medical cards too that I needed to schedule as well. The beginning of this year is stacked as far as appointments go because we are establishing care places, and then also we are going to be cruising over the summer, and I want to make sure that before we go back out on anchor that we have all of those things taken care of. So as you can see, you can look really easily with the visual cue that the Wednesday, the third one, I usually have my administrative day, is busy. I have a lot of things to take care of. So that's going to help me as far as planning and scheduling goes for the day. And this is an example of a one-off card that's just used a scrap index card. It's been shuffled a couple times because I'm waiting for organizations to put up these events. And so it's just a visual cue for me to check to see if those events have been scheduled yet. The oil change is not the date that we're getting the oil changed. That's my cue to schedule the oil change. Propane is what we have to deal with on the boat. That's part of my Christmas card deck, so it's a generic card. I don't do it annually. That's more of storm preparation. I do it every 44 to 60 days. I have a spreadsheet that counts it down in my boat log, and that's just a reminder that that's going to come up and I need to double check on it. We use propane for our cooking. For vacation, I'm putting that on my Wednesday administrative day that I'm just going to go through it and make sure that I have everything planned. Some cards that don't necessarily have specific dates, but things that I want to do. Going through those. Stargazing with the telescope, I'm really excited about. I've been wanting to do this with the library. You can check out a telescope. So I want to do that while we're still at the dock. And then, of course, you've got the big solar eclipse event that everyone's talking about on the 8th. So I'm going to go ahead and file that in front of the 8th, even though I don't have any cards that are being placed there because those are for vacation time. So this is my vacation time, and so I don't want any cards to be placed there. I have it highlighted on my monthly calendar card too to make sure that I'm not putting any cards there. Anything that is a weekly recurring card is going to be shuffled over to the following week. So continuing on with the fun cards, I think fun cards are really important because otherwise I have this issue with if the kids want to go out and have fun, or if my husband's like, let's go for a walk, I'll say, I need to get stuff done. You guys go out. So I want to make sure that this is a priority, that I get to go out and have fun too. Making a chore wheel is actually, it doesn't sound fun, but it is. There's an episode of The Office where they do a chore wheel and the kids love it. We've done it for our movie marathons, and I thought, what a fun idea to be able to do it for chores, especially as I'm getting my liveaboard card deck done and we have a haul out date coming up. There's a lot of things that need to get done. So why not make it fun? So again, scheduling in more cards. The flashlight fun, that's a night where you don't use any lights and you only use flashlights. And that was actually really cool. We read magazines, played games, and you only use flashlights. The farmer's market, I'm really excited for the farmer's market. But the thing about, I don't know if this is true for you, but we've been to so many different farmers markets in the area, and very few have actual food available at their farmers markets. So I'm waiting until the end of April to do that because hopefully more will grow. The phonetic alphabet card, that's another one I'm excited about. It's celebrating our VHF day when we got our new VHF. And it's helpful to just have those all memorized, not just for if you're out on a boat and you're using the radio, but if you're calling a hotel and you're saying your name, you can say D as in Delta, that type of thing. So it's helpful. Completing a spiritual study. I'm going to start this at the 1st of April. Somebody I follow on Instagram and here on YouTube was doing the 40-day fast, which would have been great to do for Lent, but that wasn't somewhere that I was at mentally to be able to cut out sugar. But it's a 40-day fast and devotional for cutting out sugar. And I thought, what an awesome thing to do, because I'm definitely going to need God's help in order to cut out the sugar. Doing a freelance gig and setting up a resume is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I haven't been in, I don't know what my resume has been over the last decade. I had a really solid run for 10 years after college. And then when I focused in on the kids and homeschooled, I kind of bounced around and just did whatever it took. I know a lot of you are in the same position where your kids and your family comes first. I did some hospitality. I did a lot of video editing work. And so I just want to update that resume and make sure that I'm still a viable little worker bee. Scheduling in the chore wheel for the end of the month, hoping that I'm going to have all those liveaboard, boat haul out, all that fun stuff ready and prepared by then, and we can set up a wheel. Hopefully my kids will want to help me out with it. Maybe the youngest will. So I put the April monthly card in front of the one divider. So at the very top, just as reference, there's only a few days left in the month, and I just reference it when I'm shuffling those weekly pieces. Just reviewing all the things that I went over with you. This is a plan with me, so this is a realistic view of what it looks like when I'm planning. And the past couple months has been bananas as far as our schedule. You guys stay really flexible, and we've been busy. I think everybody has the last few months. It's been weird. So I left the boat and I'm going to come back and continue to plan. But first, I got to get a couple things done. Dusting is something I really need to do, especially when it's sunny outside. So back on the boat later. And I'm going to skip a lot of these cards because it's reaching the end of the night and I still have more kids stuff to do. Adding meal cards. So this is just blank meal planning cards. I plan the meals on Wednesdays. If I'm not able to get to it on Wednesdays, because it's kind of more of a planning activity, I move it over to Saturdays, because Saturday is my chance to kind of review what happened the week prior to and then plan the week ahead. When I'm planning the week ahead, I'm mainly just checking our Google Calendar to the card deck and just reviewing what's coming up and then making adjustments based off of what comes up the week before. The meal plan cards, sometimes they fill out all the way, and other days I fill out just the dinners. Some I save so I have reference if it's one of those weeks, I can just pull out the meal plan card. So I add the date to it underneath the day of the week. So under Sun would be, for example, 3/31 for the week coming up. And then any recipe that I need for that meal is then shuffled. I have a recipe card that gets shuffled in front of the date divider that I'm going to need it. So for example, I'll show you in a little bit the chicken chow mein. There's a recipe that I use for that, and then I just shuffled the recipe card in front of Monday's date, which is April 1st. The meal plan cards get shuffled each day, so it's every day I'm just reminding myself of what it is that I had intended on making. The past few weeks has been weird with meals because I was doing 20,000 steps a day. One of my mottos was to say yes and just do more, basically. Say yes to walking to the grocery store every day. Say yes to doing all the different errands and all the little things, whereas before I might have delegated it, I did almost everything, and that's how I got my steps in. So I was walking to the grocery store almost daily to pick up a protein and a fruit and vegetable, and then sometimes I would do those like larger grocery shops still. It's very beneficial being in a walking area. When we were living in our house, we were not. I mean, you could definitely walk around, but you couldn't walk to the grocery store. It's incredible having that ability. So now you can see my current card deck with recipes and everything that's in there fits into my black travel bag. So I have everything through April, and those cards are all going to shuffle. Not all of them, but the majority will. And this is my 12-week year. A lot of my 12-week year contains habit trackers and little one-off project cards. And so this one isn't as thick as my YouTuber card deck, because that was mainly project cards, like a lot of project cards. So I only have through April in the travel set right now because I'm just ending my 12-week year. So going into April, I want to add my next 12-week year in, which goes through the end of July. And you can see it's pretty thick. I do have my YouTuber cards in here. So these are the Learn cards. So these are some growth cards that I'll be able to research over the next few months, just doing a few at a time, and I'll schedule those in. I actually have quite a few YouTube cards that I need to schedule in. So here you see, this is an example of some of the ones that I've been working on for the next couple weeks. There's product cards, video cards, and postcards where I'm taking notes and just brainstorming different things. Eventually those will get shuffled in front of the dividers. So here you see everything that's in my card box left is August and on. I already have my 12-week year highlighted and planned out. That was something I did back in January, and it's really nice to not have to think about it. I'm just kind of on autopilot. I do still have to plan out what it is that I'm doing, but I found a really cool book that is a 12-week year for writers, which is awesome. Super excited. I'm going to read that in the month of April and figure out what it is that I'm going to do for that 12 weeks. And then I have all these blank task cards at the back. Those are going to be completed after I read that 12 weeks to a writer. I can't remember the exact title, but I'll read that book and figure out how I want to manage my writing goal. To put in May through July cards, that includes the 12-week year. I'll just give you an idea of what that'll look like. That's removing my current 12-week year. I saved those cards. I'm definitely going to save them because I'm going to do an overview. I already have an idea of what I'm doing moving forward and kind of started this week as far as how to remain consistent within my fitness plan. My nutrition plan is I'm really still figuring that out. I'm saving all those cards. I'm going to pull them out just to show you how big this card deck is then with the next 3. And the reason why it's so big is because I have thick dividers in. I have a thicker, heavier cardstock for the dividers, and that greatly affected how big my card deck is. So if you have thicker index cards you're using, you're probably in the same boat, whereas my task cards are all printer paper. So they're thin and easily replaceable, and I've loved using them that way. So what I'm going to do is take out all the A through Z dividers and put them back for my contacts. And all my recipes are going to be hanging out in front of the food divider. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I did that for years and it worked out just fine. See, I just put the chicken chow mein recipe card in front of the date that I'm needing it the week prior to. So I'm not trying to hurry and go through everything to find the recipe I need. So you can see this is too big, but I really think that it'll be super manageable once I remove those heavy cardstock dividers. And then also I do have to put in those YouTube cards on the right. So you'll have to check back in to see how that journey goes with putting everything in. But you know what? It all fit back in January with my 12-week year. So who knows? I'll make it work. Anyway, I hope everyone has a lovely Easter weekend, and April is going to be awesome.